Okay, so welcome everybody to this month's Southall Matters meeting. I think there's lots to discuss, judging by the preamble we had before the formal start of the meeting. Welcome, Joe. Good to see you at this meeting. So there's lots going on, potentially a little bit of a summer of discontent. Do you want to start the meeting, Joe?
Well, I'd just like to welcome everybody. Obviously, I'm shocked and horrified the way we've been treated. We were at the town hall on Tuesday evening, and there was a full council meeting, and we were also campaigning about the yak that they're trying to call. In their words, they think it's a done deal. They want to close it down, or it's closed down already. But we are trying to get our few words into the councillors, and none of the councillors actually showed any concern. Their attitude is, if you had 5,000 people standing with you, then obviously, we'd be pushed to do something. So it's the same old thing. They're basically just hiding, and that's all they are doing. They're hiding from the residents. And then later on, we try to go to the gallery, where, public gallery, where we could watch the council at work. And we were denied this, saying that, we're late, which we clearly told the security guard that after our campaign, then, we would like to go upstairs to the public gallery. And this wasn't to be. So, as far as I'm concerned, once again, we've been let down by our councillors, and they want to do everything in their power to not listen to the residents of Southall. And they think that their way is the right way. So, no, very disappointed, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, that we attended the consultation meetings back in February, and it was very clear from the young people who attended that obviously they were anti the plans, and they didn't actually know until that meeting it was a done deal that the yak was set to close. Yeah. And certainly the young lady who spoke very eloquently, she presented to the council, a few months previously. She didn't know at the time, really her appeal effectively was a waste of time, because the decision was already made to close the yak. And certainly it's a frustration, because that yak is a purpose-built young adult centre. It's in the heart of Southall. It should be well used if the council promoted it properly. But obviously, they made a decision to accept funding from the GLA for housing, and that was far more important than the needs of young people. Now, when I look at Southall, do we need any more housing? Because there doesn't seem to be any commitment to providing community infrastructure. When I talk to my kids, and they are in the age range that would use the facilities of the yak, and what they say to me, there is nothing to do in Southall. They are bored at the weekends, after school. The recent highlight for them, which cost me a bit of money, was going to the fair in Southall Park. But other than that, there's nothing really aimed at their age range. And when you look at what is going on at the moment in the world, the cost of living rises, the impact it's having on families, the impact on young people's mental health and well-being, there is even more need to have a yak, and for young people to be able to reach out to well-trained and qualified youth workers who can enable them to flourish, to develop, but also if they have any needs which would relate to safeguarding, that the youth workers could actually take action to protect them. I find it shocking that the decision was made to close the Yak and no alternative site was actually confirmed. I can tell from the tweets that Villiers High School is likely to be concerned that the Yak will be rebuilt in Southall Park on the sort of areas used for cricket and other sports. So they've made it clear from their tweets those areas are well used by the school. And then the other option is to rebuild when Peabody have done their development round the back of the Dominion Centre. So all in all, you know, it's not good for the community, especially the younger members of the community. Sagir, do you want to come in and contribute your point? I'll unmute you.
Okay. I mean, at the meeting yesterday, we were made aware that the headmaster of Villiers High School had written to the council. He was concerned because I didn't know this, and I think most people did not know either, was the fact that the temporary youth centre is going to be located right next to Villiers. You know where the old tennis courts were? So he's concerned, and he's made his point of view known to the council. Now, apart from that, there's another development actually happening at Southall Park. If you're aware, right at the entrance, there used to be the caretaker, the gentleman who used to actually take care of the actual park. There's a nice little cottage there with a bit of land there. That was bought by a councillor for Southall Broadway. I think his name is Mr. Khan. And surprisingly, he got elected on the 5th of May, and within 4 days, there was an application, for I think, is it 3-4 story high luxury apartments. There's actually 19. When me and Joe and Ray were going for the protest on Tuesday, we actually saw it. There's a big sign there now saying that 19 luxury apartments up for sale. Now, first of all, that's public land. There shouldn't be any apartments there. I think what the long-term goal is, maybe turn half of Southall Park into apartments. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to have right at the entrance. I don't know how many stories, maybe 19 luxury apartments are going to be about 8-9 stories high, I suppose, 2 apartments per floor, say. Then you've got the new sort of temporary Yak over there, and slowly, where the Southall Market is, all that area, maybe going all the way to Park Avenue. And that is terrible. I mean, why is Southall being so neglected? Where are the councillors? Do they not care? We've had meetings in regards to the Yak, as they call it, at Town Hall on every Wednesdays about 6:30. None of them have turned up. They're aware of it. I mean, seriously, I am really concerned for my children. And you're right, Angela. The Yak has been purposely not promoted by there's 3 or 4 organisations who are actually running it. It's not been promoted. My daughters, they've grown up here. Then they're at university through their schools or through social media or just posted. Nothing. I remember in our days we were aware of it. We were allowed to go in any time, during certain hours, holidays, things like that. And in Joe's time, in the 60s and 70s, it was basically open all day. It was somewhere where if you had problems at home, you could go and talk to someone. It was a safe environment away from home, and everything's being neglected. I remember personally myself, we had a similar sort of centre and Tudor Road School. There was one in Spikes Bridge as well, where the changing rooms are. In the middle there was a cafe. They had a pool table, but that was sort of run as a sort of a drop-in youth centre as well. And the Park View, Old Southall, I believe, must have had a few as well. Where are have you all of a sudden stopped having children? That the Ealing Council doesn't prioritise them anymore? I'm not quite sure. I welcome the views of other, fellow citizens here. on that. Thank you.
Jean? Thank you, Staggy. I think you raised very relevant points. Jean, do you want to come in and
yes, I do, just
your
very
views?
briefly. I mean, I'm just, you know, I mean, the point is, we all know this is awful. It's just another example of Peter Mason and his cronies letting everybody down. And I don't know what to do about it. I think it's almost beyond, I don't know, being redeemed. But that latest video of Peter Mason saying we're going to reset the button on Southall. I mean, that is, when you've just, you know, people have been describing what's happening, that is just a load of lies and obscene. And this thing that, you know, one of the councillors bought this building and now, you know, he's making a mint. This is just so appalling.
Okay, thank you, Jean. Sophia, you're next. Would you like
Hi
to
there,
share?
sorry, I'm a bit late. Just been manic at work, but excuse me for that. Basically, I just want to come in here and just say, as a youngster being born and bred here my whole life, the yak, I said it back when we went to the first protest earlier, late last year, and then early this year in February. It's fine. Joe said it, I said it, everybody in Southall is saying it. We don't need another 5-10 story building going up. There are far too many. The councillors and the new councillors which are elected, I said it, because as everyone knows here, I ran for local council. Of course, things didn't go in our favour, but that's fine. Because I told every single councillor I met at each polling station, at the town hall, I said to them, just make a genuine change in this area. Because we don't need another 4 years of, I'm going to say it, corruption. Because I get we've got Labour Party members here, we've got Conservatives here, we've got the Independents here, but I will say it as it is. Ealing Southall and Ealing Labour are the most corrupt organisation in the game. Joe knows it, I know it. We witnessed it firsthand during the election. Now, I don't want to turn this political, but the fact of the matter is, if the council actually gave a damn about Southall, they would have fought hammer and tong for this building. But they sold this off 3 years ago, we got told. So what is the point of a public consultation now? I said it then, and I'll say it again. The consultation should have done 3 years ago. They said, I think it was Karen who said it, or no, it was Aisha Raza, sorry, who said it at the meeting. No, sorry, Cam Nagpal, that's her name, who said, we didn't know where we're going to get the funding, so we didn't raise it in the public domain. But if you're going to apply for funding for something, shouldn't you consult the members of the public who use that facility? The youngsters, the Young Ealing Foundation. I was at the ceremony last week. The girls who ran that ceremony came from the Yak. Young Ealing Foundation have done an amazing job. Yeah. They've taken youngsters off the street. Yeah. The Yak is a safe space. And the council need to wake up, because they're saying that, oh, us youngsters, I'm pretty sure you've seen it. The fights, what happened along the Broadway every other day. The arguments, the confrontation. This is all because nobody has a safe space. And I will say it. The youngsters in Southall don't have youth clubs. They closed the sports centre down. They closed the Yak down. What's next to go? That's my question. Because we just about saved the Dominion Centre. We saved the town hall. And we need to save the Yak. Yeah. That building, there is nothing wrong with it. And it's crazy. Because I spoke to Young Ealing Foundation last week when I was at the ceremony, and I said to them, what's next to go in Southall, or what's next to go in Ealing for that matter? Because we do have youth who sadly don't have a safe home. When I say that, it's true. I witness on a daily basis. The amount of safeguarding reports I deal with at work is absolutely crazy.
Look, no, Sophia, what we're trying to explain to the council is that that space is vital. Okay.
100%.
Now we've spoken at the last meeting at the Yak. I waited till the end, okay, and I saw the attitude of the lady in charge of the Yak. How do they employ these people? If that's how she was speaking to us, I wonder how she speaks to the actual youth. So it looks as if they had all this pre-planned, like you said 3 years ago, okay? Not to let it work, mismanage it, yeah, and not to use it to the best ability possible.
Yeah.
Now, I've been speaking to council, and they're adamant, okay? Like you said last time, remember? They want to have half of it in, or sometime they want to have it in the Golflins, and then they're going to have it in Southall Park. That's ridiculous. Where is this space in Southall? Now, if you remember, Sufyan, the meeting that Mr. Varinder Sharma had, our MP of Southall and Hanwell, that was in a church. So why aren't we using the spaces that are there? We got Southall Town Hall. That was given as a gift to the people of Southall. That's us. We are the people of Southall. Okay? The Yak was given to Southall as educational purposes. So how dare they now not want to knock that down to build, like you say, a 5-story building? How many flats do we need in Southall? I was speaking to a councillor.
And there is too many vacant flats as well. That's the thing.
Thank you. I was speaking to a councillor yesterday. Now, I explained to him about Bridge Road, Merrick Road, near Sunrise Radio.
Yep.
The parking, there is no parking. And he's told me that in 2.5 years, yeah, they tend to take over some garages, some workshops, on the right-hand side.
Yep.
Where the studio is, etc.
Yes.
And they said everything would be resolved. And I explained to him, how did they get the planning permission? How did the developers get the planning permission with 0 parking? So I've asked him to send the parking attendants there to give parking tickets to the vehicles. Because at my mum's funeral, the vehicles were all blocked there because we could not pass. There was a lorry blocking everything. That's how ridiculous this is.
Yeah,
yep.
I want to talk about that later. The is it Honey Puff or Sugar Puff Factory? But Libby has had a hand up. So Libby, do you want to unmute yourself and make your contribution?
We're talking about the Yak, not the reset. Just tell me which one we're talking about at the moment. The Yak?
Let's continue with the Yak.
Okay, so I've heard, because I live quite a long way from you, but I'm very concerned that the Yak was closed on Monday. Now, I've got a photograph that a couple of people have sent me with the gates locked, but somebody thinks it might be open in the evenings at the moment. I've got a long tweet prepared and I want to send it with a photograph of the gates closed, but I need to be confirmed that it is closed already. And I've got a long tweet about how bad they are, and that'll go a long way to go across London. I will carry on with that. We're also, the meeting we had today, which is about the reset, talk about later, we also talked about the Yak and what we can do on the legal side. And I think it's, well, I think the only thing we can do is actually publicity and get stuff out actually about it. It is appalling. I can't describe how bad it is. But the thing on your side is the land is there for educational purposes. They'll have to break the trust to do that. Because it was gifted to the borough for educational purposes, so they can't just build anything on it. But we'll just fight very, we'll support you. I've got stuff going out, and a lot of the stuff that goes on Ealing Matters goes across London. It goes to places like Just Space, which is out of the planning school, and it gets picked up. So hopefully we will just do what we can. But to close it this week in the school holidays, it was for the FSM children, with workshops and lunch and things like that. And I'd heard that it was closed. Sagir, I think you know about whether it's closed or not, do you?
There you go. Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, madam. The Yak has not been closed. No, there's 2 sessions still carrying on, Tuesdays and Thursdays as we speak. That's a drop-in session for any resident of Southall. I believe from 11 to 24-year-old young adults, basically, between I think 6 and 9 or 6:30 and 9. So Tuesday and Thursday. So I encourage everyone who knows people and young adults in that age range for them to go there, so the council knows that, you know, we do need that facility. Secondly, there is day sessions going on, but these are for children between 11 and 18 or 19, I'm not quite sure, and they are for people who are slightly disadvantaged, basically on free school meals. So
yeah,
they'll be running sessions, I don't know, I think 3 or 4 times a week for the whole duration of the 6-week holiday. So and those are for the whole of the London Borough of Ealing, and not just for
hang on, Sagir, the gates were closed on Monday, and the timetable for the 8 to 16-year-olds for the children who need the lunches and things, that it's all closed down. Nobody's seen anybody going in there, and that's what I want.
Well, I mean, I just received the posters today in the morning, both of them. I'll forward them on to Angela.
Okay, because it was closed on Monday, definitely. No, yeah, Monday was definitely closed.
It might have been closed by the other organisations. So it is those 2 events, as I've spoken. There's they have at Featherstone High School behind in the sports ground where children can be dropped off, like a 6-week sort of children, you could drop them off, and they've got playing facilities. Similar thing is running, as far as I know, there, and Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening 6 to 9. Anyone could come in as well.
Okay, so I just need to change this big tweet that's going to go out.
Sure.
Now that I know that.
Well, I'll forward that to Angela, and then she could forward it to.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much.
Okay.
But, I mean, we will support you in Ealing as much as we can. Well, Act and I am as much as we can, and we'll do what we can. We'll get as much out. I think it's. I'm so cross about it. I can't speak. Actually, it's unbelievably bad that they do it, and it is not. No, it's not really their land to build on. They're not even building social housing on it. They're just building London and affordable rents or for sale, which makes it even worse.
Libby, can I ask you a question? If the land was designated for educational purposes, how have they got around that then?
I don't know. That's what Min is doing. Because she's a lawyer, so she's better at sorting that out than we are. So that's what she's looking into. And there's something else on that. I can't remember now. And there's bits and pieces anyway. But everybody's working on it to help you. Don't think you're left alone on this, because it's just. The other thing is, what I have a concern about is they will not say where they're going to build a new one, and they will not say where the money's coming from. And that's the question you have to keep on asking the councillors all the time. Where is it going to be, and where is the money coming from? And is it ring fenced? Because I have a horrible feeling that it will become part of the new youth centre, will become part of Peabody or something like that. And it'll be like the one on the Bolo, which is a little dark cubbyhole, and it'll be run commercially by the developer, as the Bolo one is. So the developer pays a company to run the youth centre, who are a profit-making company, which means that there's less money to be spent on the actual use. And that's not a Labour thing to do. That's not the way Labour Party should be working.
That's appallingly bad. And what we were told, if it's true that the Yak is closing this year, it's going to take at least 3 to 4 years to build a permanent replacement. And there's concerns about the temporary provision at the Dominion Centre and somewhere on the Golf Links estate, as though those are suitable locations.
What they will do though is they'll close it so nobody's using it, and it'll gradually, like they've done with Gurnell, it'll gradually fall to pieces because it's not being maintained. There's a term called managed dereliction, which you need to remember, because managed dereliction is a really strong term to say for what they're going to do with the Yacht. The other thing I will do when I come off this, I'll just check. You say that they've sold it. It's Broadway Living that are going to develop it. Whether they've sold it to Broadway Living, I don't know, but I'll check on the ONS, the What's It site when I leave the meeting and let you know whether they have actually sold it or not.
Thank you. Jan, I was aware that you had your hand up. Do you want to come in at this point? Do you want to unmute, Jan? Jan, you're breaking up again. Nobody can hear you. It's a bit distorted. Maybe if you try logging out and then rejoining the meeting. Yeah, you definitely break it. Whilst you're trying to sort out the problem, Jan, I'm going to bring Southalll in. Oh, do you want to try again?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah,
that's better.
I'm going to get my laptop and I'll rejoin. Okay. I think it's my iPad playing up.
Okay. In the meantime, I'll get Southalll to take your place. Southalll, do you want to unmute and join in?
Here we are. Yes, I just want to say quickly just about this. The Yak, to me personally, I've never actually used the Yak because obviously, as I say, I've got, like, I'm very grateful to have obviously a home I can come to, and obviously I can basically relax in peace. But I know people personally who use the Yak. Obviously, I'm not going to name them on camera because it's not right to. So I'm just gonna say this is we as youngsters have never been listened to in Southall, and I could say that firsthand. For whether it be through, forget campaigning for a second. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone on here knows I am an activist campaigner. I campaign for 3 or 4 projects. I'm currently working on. I'm still working alongside Cleaning for Southall. But forget that for a second. At a personal level, the council don't care. And sad to say it, I mean, again, it is down to, and I've noticed ever since the elections and the new all the Norwood Green councillors, if I'm not mistaken, are new councillors. Now, I spoke to all 3 of the councillors at both the polling stations or at the town hall, and they go, no, we're standing to make a change. It's all talk. It is all talk. Now, I've said it time and time again to everybody I've met. Now, I understand that people have supported Labour for X amount of reasons, myself included. But the fact is that the councillors might represent you because of your skin color or the language you speak, but they don't represent you when you need their help. Because I'm pretty sure Angela Fonzo knows this as firsthand. We've written letters to councillors. We've written letters to the MP. They either go unheard of or they aren't followed up. Now, I want to know because I know the Labour Party watch these meetings because they sit there and they shiver when they see my face now. They do, I can tell you that. Jag Singera, I'll tell you straight, he saw me and he was very nervous to even approach me. So I approached him, I go, what's wrong, Sangera? What's wrong? You're my councillor. You've got to listen to me. They don't want to know because they're doing it for their paycheck. Or to top
he's
up
not a councillor. He's not a councillor. Which
No.
Sangera? Jags?
Jags.
Yeah, he's not a councillor.
Isn't he?
No, he didn't win the seat. So, but you know, he's here, there, and everywhere. I
No,
mean,
you
we
know
saw
what I
him at
mean,
the
though.
Young
Like,
Ealing
it's not just
Foundation
him.
Awards ceremony.
It's everybody.
Presumably, yeah,
It's
yeah.
everybody. It just goes to show they're all in it for one thing, and that's money. Now, I mean, some of the councillors I know firsthand are on high six figures before they even touch their council salary, high six figures. And I can tell you that firsthand. Now, why are you a councillor? If you've got a genuine interest in a community, then become a councillor. Not because you want a status back home, not because you want a top up on your pension, not because you've got an ulterior motive. Don't do it for that, because you're wasting, number one, not only a public voice, but a space to make change. Because I know for a fact, yes, me and Joe ran under the same umbrella, but before politics, before everything, I've known Joe, I've known Amric, I've known David, I've known Happy, I've known all these guys for Happy only for a year, but the rest of the guys I've known for several years. And Joe is a genuine person who is interested in the community. And in God's name, why he didn't get in, and I said I might not get in because of my age or whatever, but I am very glad I stood, because that gave Labour a bloody wake-up call. It gave them I'll say it gave them a fright, because it did. Because when a couple of councils saw me, they didn't actually believe it until they saw my face. They saw the posters, they saw my name everywhere, but they didn't believe it until they saw me. They actually thought I was blagging it. I said, I'm at the polling station, aren't I? This is happening. And whatever happens tonight, there will be change in this area. Whether we make it in the independent network or not, we will make sure change happens. And I still stick by that till this day. And so does everybody else who ran with us. Yeah? Because not one single councillor has turned up to these meetings. And they might say, well, this isn't a council meeting, so we don't have to be here. Well, I'm sorry. This is a public forum for residents to voice their concern. You are our resident spokesperson to go higher up, to go to the party, to go to the MP, to go, because we try and approach our MP. He don't want to know. Half the time, I don't think he understands what I'm saying. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, because he doesn't care. He shows a good show. Don't get me wrong. Mr. Sharma's a great actor. He shows a damn good show. Yeah, but the Speaker of the House even told him to be quiet a couple of times. That's the Speaker of the House. Can
I just come in quickly, Sophia? Because I think, as has already been said, the Yak has been run down for years. I used to work at Southall Community College, and I left there 4 years ago. So I'm thinking it's probably around about 6 to 7 years ago that they pulled out connection services, and young people are told you've got to go to the Young Adult Centre in West Ealing, despite the fact that we are a very vulnerable, disadvantaged area. Rather than keeping services that were crucial to young people in Southall, they were whittling them away. So this has been going on for years. And when I spoke to my kids about the consultation survey, I said, do you know about this from school? They said, no. And I strongly suspect that the other high schools, not just their own, were unaware about the consultation. Because when I said to the head of youth services, why not communicate with the schools, get them to disseminate the information about the survey. He said, oh, that's a good idea. So in all honesty, the council did not go out of its way to consult the community. And what concerns me, we are a disadvantaged community. Digital poverty is part of being impoverished. As you know, if you genuinely want to consult, you cannot just do it online. You've got to consult people face to face. And they only seem to sort of pay lip service to that. I think they turned up maybe once or twice at the most to Southall Manor House to do the survey, and I forgot the name of it, but the one which was borough-wide, asking about people's attitudes, you know, towards living in Ealing. So I don't know how many people actually responded to the online survey and actually filled it out at Manor House. But I think if we were to submit an FOIA, we'll find that it's a very low percentage.
50,
Southall.
I know.
What's the figure, Libby?
Sorry, 50 people completed the survey.
50 people out of 70,000 residents.
50 young people. And they also asked
sorry.
very stupid questions like, how far away from home would you be prepared to travel to a youth centre? Well, any teenage kid is going to big himself up and not say, well, my mum will only let me go 10 minutes in the dark. So some of the, and I don't know whether it's male or female, said, oh yeah, we'll go at least half an hour away to visit a youth centre. Well, I can't see a lot of parents letting young female girls, or teenagers, go in the dark on their own to a youth centre in the winter. Can you?
Definitely not. 50 is a really poor response. And if they had got the schools on board, the schools could have got young people doing as part of tutor time. I don't think there was a genuine commitment to canvassing and getting, you know, a real cross section of views and opinions. And I think in reality, if they somehow liaise with the schools, the take up of services at the YAC would have been far greater. It's central in Southall, it's easily accessible. They've got fantastic facilities there, recording studio, hairdressers, outside play area. I can't see that being replicated at the Dominion Centre, and probably also unlikely for the Gulf Links estate as well. And you know, you've got Cam Nagpal, her cabinet portfolio is a fairer start, and I've tweeted her and said, how is this a fairer start? You had John Martin tweeting today about mental health support for young people, and my response to that is the council could be doing a lot more for young people's mental health by actually keeping the YAC open. Now, I mean, obviously we're going to discuss this later. This does feed into the reset programme because, you know, Southall is becoming a dormant town, and the council have no regard for inhabitants, whatever their age is. And it's all about, I suppose, you know, new inhabitants who are affluent enough to access leisure facilities outside of Southall, because their mode of transport will be jumping on the Crossrail line. So, Guy, I'm going to bring you in now because I know you've been waiting really patiently, and then it's Jean next.
Okay, I mean, on the topic of the YAC, Angela, I've just sent you 2 bits of information in regards to the openings. So I can confirm now that the YAC is at this very moment open for the Thursday session, which is the 6 to 9 o'clock. It will be open on Tuesday again for the foreseeable future. And the other activities which I said are going to be happening, they're run by, let me have a look, I'll read them out to you, by an organisation called, let's have a look, Ealing Holiday Activities and Food Programme, HAF. Okay, and the youth workers, there's 3 of them. There's Jeff, Manjit and Linda, all three of them are senior youth workers, okay? And this is, let's see, week 1, which is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of August, which is next week, 12 to 4, and week 2, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, again 12 to 4. So I think it's only for 2 weeks. I hadn't read it properly, but it is open, it hasn't been shut down now. If we really want to save the...
Sakir, shouldn't it be, for the vulnerable people, young people who are entitled to free school meals, yeah? It seems from what you're saying, the provision for them isn't Monday to Friday. It's not 5 days a week. It's only, from what you're saying, a Monday during the day.
Well, it's the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and 4th, so I believe that's 4 days, and then that's next week. Then 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, which is the second week. It doesn't say anything about the 3rd or 4th week, so this might be a temporary
all right, so it is every day for the young people entitled to free school meals.
Yeah, okay. Between 4 and 12. You have to register. It's got an address here as well. There's a telephone number. So I suggest that if there are people in this category, that they make the most of it. And secondly, there's the other one is, let me have a quick look at that for you as well. Okay, the evening sessions. All right, let's have a look at those. Just getting the PDF file open. That's 6:30 to 9. So yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It doesn't say if it's for a specific period like it did for the other two. So this is probably for the foreseeable future. And this is a drop-in session for anyone between 11 to 19. Now, Sufyan, I did raise my hand earlier on, and if I was just wondering if he could sort of enlighten us on exactly what Ealing Youth Foundation is, who incorporated it, when it was actually set up, who's actually managing it. That information would be most welcome. Is Sufyan there?
No.
But does anyone know anything about Ealing Youth Foundation?
I think they're a charitable organisation which receives funding, I think, from the John Lyon charity, Ealing Council, but that's what I know of. And they run different youth projects, but they are essentially, a voluntary sector organisation. That's all I know. But they were campaigning against the closure of the Yak, and this was, from what I can recollect, last summer.
I mean, with that,
quite an extensive campaign on social media, and it seems to me a bit unfortunate that the community organisations in Southall that are now campaigning didn't actually join in and show really public allyship with Ealing Young Foundation.
Okay.
From what I can see, it's important definitely to campaign, but what was a disappointment to me personally was to see no young people on the steps of Ealing Town Hall on Tuesday evening. You've got to mobilise young people, and I would say if there's going to be another protest, get down to Spencer Street, talk to the young people and youth who are now playing football and basketball, get them on side, and the same for all the other Moogers, Southall Park, Southall Rec, and get talking to the young people, say, do you know this is what's happening? Because there's nothing more powerful than having young people come together and mobilise.
Can I sort of come in onto that? So we've got a general consensus on Southall matters that the Yak is worth saving. Okay. Now, it's not too late. There are sort of a few hurdles that we have to jump. One of the ways is obviously to start reusing it and highlighting to the appropriate authorities that it is an essential part, essential service that the residents of Southall and in fact Ealing, do need. So the meetings are at Southall Town Hall. The next one is this coming Wednesday at 6:30, and it would be really good if anyone who is interested in sort of taking this matter forward, that they do turn up. That's one point.
I'll try to come down. I can't guarantee it, but
sure.
Yeah, there needs to be definitely a groundswell of support. Because from what I can see, this is really an aggressive attack on Southall. It's not just the Yak. It's also, this goes back to selling off the library on Osterley, is it Osterley Road? But the old library, which was fantastic, really large facility, plenty of space, yeah? The library was moved to the Dominion Centre. It's squashed in there, it's small. I've actually seen parents sitting on the floor during the peak times, like the summer holiday, because there is not enough seating. How this is allowed to happen in the 21st century is a total embarrassment, and just shows the disdain that working class disadvantaged people are held in by the Labour controlled council. You know, this stems back to Julian Bell's time, but I don't want to hark too much back into the past because I can see Jean's waiting. Can I bring Jean in now? Jean, could you unmute?
Yes, yeah. I just want to say that, I mean, maybe it's of no interest to anybody, but certainly any and all debate amongst Ealing Labour people has more or less been shut down in Ealing Southall constituency. So the CLP never meets. We used to have people, 80 people. There was an attempt at a debate. All that's been closed down because they're waiting for Labour Party head office to kind of get it all going again. So I'm just very concerned about where is the forum to debate for ordinary people to get up and say their views in front of councillors, in front of delegates. There is no space. Branches don't meet, wards don't meet. There is no way that that people can go along to meetings in Ealing Southall. I think it's different in Ealing Acton and North Ealing, but in Ealing Southall, politically in Labour ways, everything has been closed down. It's been a combination of local Labour and head office Labour, because Labour Party is in a bit of a mess, and there's been a huge lurch to the right. So there's no debate. So that's one thing I'm very, very concerned about, that people can't debate any of this stuff as we used to be able to. It might not have got us very far, but at least you felt you could bring these councillors in and hold them to account. That is not possible in Ealing Southall anymore, until whenever, who knows. But I'm just wondering, because we keep talking about the councillors are all powerful, maybe other people, Libby or other people might know that that's the case. But when I used to teach in Ealing as a teacher, the people who were the experts on what was needed was the education department, were the professionals, was the head of education, were the advisors. These are the people that we would go to as teachers saying, do you know what you need to have? You need to establish. And they would be the ones we had a dialogue with. And councillors were hardly ever mentioned. So I'm just wondering if there is a route, because someone mentioned, perhaps you, Angela, about talking to head of children's services. You know, is there a route to go straight to these people and bypass the councillors who don't know, don't care, do whatever they like? And we in Ealing Southall, there's no recourse to talking to them at all anyway.
Yeah, that's.
Can I come in there? I know that the Ealing Youth Services are vehemently against the closure, and they've been told to shut up, basically. The employees who work in Ealing Youth Services have fought against this till they can fight no more, and they're just told to shut up. It's going ahead.
Yeah, so toe the line.
Yep.
Jan, great to have you back. Do you want
you hear me
to
now?
join us? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's much better.
apologies about that. I think it's my my iPad is not working properly.
Yeah, you're much clearer.
That's good. No, the reason I had my hand up before was when Joe was talking about the parking outside the new flats where Sunrise Radio was, but then I heard someone say that that's for the topic for later, so I put my hand back down again.
Okay. Are we ready to move on from the yak? Because there are so many issues to discuss. Hold on, let me just see. Sagir, do you want to come in
Yes,
again?
Angela. Yes, Angela, thank you. On the topic, a youth centre, who remembers that series called Biker Grove where Ant and Dak initially started? So
I don't know, I was too old for that.
well, that's what Anton Dack. I remember watching it. I mean, I was in my teens when I
I
watched.
lived in Newcastle and it was filmed in Newcastle. Donna Ray was the girlfriend of the boy who lived next door to us. So
Oh, okay. So, you know, it is actually meant to be run by the youth themselves. It gives them life experience, first of all. It gives them, you know, what is it? What they say, stamina. They learn. Basically, they're preparing for the big life outside. And the pity is that this yak at the moment is run by a few organisations who haven't actually promoted it at all to the residents of Southall, let alone Ealing. And they purposely, I believe, let it run down because they knew at some point, you know, we're going to flog it off to. They haven't flogged it to an external company. What Ealing Council have done, they've set up this. It's part of them, but another umbrella company which does all their selling of their land. Now, Angela, you're right. You know, King's Hall. I don't know if anyone knows the history of King's Hall. You know, just the beginning of Southall, on top of South Road. My God, that was an amazing building. It looked like the Albert Hall if you go back, you know, the 20s and 30s when it was initially set up. Amazing building. That's being sold off. Southall, every single building is, you know, the Southall market. I think one of the King's 300-400 years gate was set up. It was a special decree. None of that is respected. Why not? And that sort of angers me. But coming back to the youth, yes, we need. Angela, you mentioned earlier on the youth do need to come to these meetings. They do need to actively participate and spread the word. So it would be good. The kids are on holiday now, and I'm going to try to encourage as many children that I know as possible to come to this meeting on Wednesday. Yes, it was a pity that not a single you know, young adult turned up at the steps of Ealing Town Hall, but there was a function actually going on at Walpole Park, organised by I don't know if it was Ealing Youth Foundation or a big concert. It was really good. Apparently, I heard it was an all-day workshop, and in the evening there was a concert by various famous artists on you know, some kind of genres of music. But the youth do need to get involved in it, and Yak hasn't actually been knocked down. Even if it's knocked down, we don't need the councillors. The councillors, the Southall ones, they are governed by on a single unit. They're told to stay in line, don't even come here. We've had 4 meetings and they haven't even actually turned up. I mean, that's disrespect. They represent the community. We elected them. I didn't, but you know, the community in general did elect them somehow. They haven't even bothered showing up. Even if they're against it, it's good to show up. That is their job. That is their remit. But they've been told by certain people not to turn up. So they haven't turned up. What it is, we need to mass spread the word. The people themselves individually as a unit and as a group can change things. Don't get disheartened. We have to stick together, spread the word, and as a mass, as a mass unit, we can change things. Yeah, it's an absolutely lovely building. I think it was built about 20 years ago. Before that, it was an old type sort of what they call Tudor type building. But now it's still, if you look at it, it's amazing. Glass, open planning, light comes in. It's a pity it's going to be knocked down, but honestly, whoever's here listening, please try your best, and it can be saved. That's all I got to say before we move on to the next topic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Segi. I agree with you about people power, and that would really rock the boat. The more people, if there's a real groundswell of support, and it is picked up by national media, most definitely. Joe, you've got your hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Angela, what I wanted to say was, speaking to the councillor, ward forums are not going to be happening, believe it or not. So we are not going to be.
Oh, sorry.
We're not going to be able to confront the councillors about any of this. So they can hide behind their telephones, and they can also hide behind their emails. And this is the democracy that we're living in under Labour rule in London Borough of Ealing. It's shambles. Thank you.
Joe, I couldn't agree more. We have always invited them to the Southall Matters Forum. we've had perhaps 3 at best turn up, very occasionally. Now they don't even respond and send an RSVP. And the same applied to our meeting on air pollution, the webinar last Tuesday. Are we ready to move on to another topic, or does anybody else want to contribute to the discussion on the YAC? Shall we move on? Has everybody seen Peter Mason's latest video on Southall promoting the Southall Reset programme? Because I think it'd be quite an opportunity to show it to you and see what you think. So I'm going to share my screen, see if I can find it. No, I can't find it. Just bear with me. Right, can you see the screen? Share screen. No, unfortunately, I can't find it at present. But anyway, if I do, I will share it with you. But basically, you know, you've got Peter Mason in Southall. The streets look immaculately clean. There are no cars parked up on the pavements. There are no overflowing bins, and he's promoting walking and cycling and increased employment opportunities, you know, all in a bid to ensure that Southall isn't a dormitory town. I mean, I would argue that reset is not appropriate. All the changes that have happened over the last 10 years or so have caused immense damage to the community. So let's start the ball rolling with a discussion about the Southall Reset programme. Sagi, you've got your hand up. Can you unmute?
Yes, I've unmuted. Now, what does the word reset mean? Angela, your opinion on that?
To go back to how things were before.
Okay.
Yeah. That what's happened can be erased. Like if I reset my mobile phone, it goes back to the factory settings.
Factory resetting. A reset is basically when something goes wrong. So when your phone runs out of memory or there's a virus, what you're advised to do is a factory reset or a soft reset. Now, in a term, it is an embarrassment to Ealing Council, the fact that they have to reset Southall. They're acknowledging that something has gone badly wrong. So, you know, the word itself, Southall reset, they've actually acknowledged the fact that you're right, you know, the last 10 years or whatever, their policies haven't worked out. Residents through the last couple of months, they, you know, Ealing Council do listen. They have ears everywhere. They're probably listening to this meeting somehow. And, you know, it is, we should be happy the fact that they have sort of, you know, taken this initiative, whether it achieves anything or not. But the name itself, it says it all, Southall Reset. You don't reset anything, that's fine, do you? If your computer's working or your house is a reset, they're going to press a big button and hopefully they're going to, you know, say it's all fine. But if you look at the other side of it, they have acknowledged the fact that Southall is in a state where it can no longer be maintained or be like that, and it needs a resetting. So that's what I've got to say on that. Thank you.
What I would say, let me just focus on one aspect of the programme, you know, increasing walking and cycling. I regularly take photographs and a few videos of where I live in Old Southall. The state of the pavements and the roads are an abomination because they are badly cracked. Tarmac pavements have massive potholes in them. Likewise with the roads. These are not safe surfaces for walking and cycling. And I said to somebody the other day, actually, it was the boiler engineer who came, I said, my mum had an accident in Northalll and she tripped over a uneven paving slab and she actually broke her foot. And I said, you know, she's elderly, that could have killed her. And he said, yeah, somebody else he knows, an older person, tripped over in Greenford on a broken paving slab. So Ealing's track record of maintaining safe surfaces for walking is not good. I've set up a page called Streets of Southall, and you can see the state of the roads and the pavement, not just the broken surfaces, but the fly tipping. That's my big bugbear at the moment. There are hot spots. Caxton Road, Sussex Road are two in particular. Every week without fail, you've got the black bags full of food refuse and beer bottles and God knows what else. Sussex Road, you've got again black bin liners, also bed bases. Even on the road that Councillor Dinser lives on, Greenland Crescent, but the opposite end to where he lives. I remember photographing 3 mattresses on the pavement, and on the opposite side of the road, the divan base. So, you know, why would people want to walk around willingly when you have to dodge all sorts of obstacles, you know, particularly for the elderly and the infirm? You know, this reset is an absolute farce. Don't believe it. Likewise with the jobs, creating new jobs. I personally won't believe it until I see it. Now, from what I read in the Ealing News online website, sorry, on the website, is that, I keep getting the name wrong, I don't know whether it's Honey Puff or the Honey Monster factory, that is going to be a logistics centre. Now, who the hell is going to give permission in their right mind for a logistics centre when down the road from where I live, and Jan will probably back me on this hopefully, we've got 2 industrial estates, and at peak times it's absolute murder trying to exit Southall along Brent Road, Western Road and Hayes Road, and there's times when it's so bad I've just actually aborted my journey and returned home and think, okay, I've left at a stupid time, I need to leave early in the morning, but that is regular. Also Merrick Road, I think, you know, Joe, you've talked about this, gets backed up. So if you've only got is it Bridge Road as the only exit onto Merrick Road, and then if you're running a logistics company, you're going to want access to the A312 to get onto the A4 or the M4, you know, good luck, because, you know, time is money, and you're just going to be in gridlock traffic and you're adding to the gridlock. I expect company look at Southall thinking, I'm not going to locate here. There are other industrial estates in Feltham and Hillingdon which offer complete ease of access to the A4 and the M4, etc. So, you know, I don't see really the scope for lots of new jobs. I mean, the reality is, you know, if you look at the road where I live, probably the vast majority of people work at airport or subsidiary companies to the airport. And I don't see that changing, you know. Obviously Heathrow Airport is, you know, a big pull on the area for employment. And given that, you know, so much of the land is sold for these unaffordable tower blocks, you know, I'm not convinced that companies look at this place and, oh, it's a wonderful place to come and set up my business, when so much of what we're doing now involves being online and less requirement to travel. So I think it's just posturing. I don't see, a reset. If anything, Peter Mason needs to be pressing a delete button on all the high-rise developments planned for. And maybe somebody can answer this question, because I've got rotten eyesight, and there's a block near the station, and I can even see from Queen's Road, but closer up to the station, there are red banners on the balconies, on quite a few balconies. I'm guessing that these are banners actually advertising that these flats are vacant. I mean, there's quite a few of them. Anyway, I'm conscious of the fact that, I've said my 2 pence worth. I don't know who's next. Is it Joe or Libby? Who's next?
Go on,
You're
Libby.
gonna meet
Go on,
yourself.
Libby.
I've got to go, and I need to explain to you that the reset thing is a slightly formal thing, and they did a development plan for Southall in, I think, 2012, and it was really actually quite a good plan. Will's had a look at it, and he's a town planner. He thinks it was a very good plan. Part of that plan was £10 million from the GLA, or just under, to actually widen Southall Bridge, which he reckons is a very necessary thing. Well, they've decided that they're not going to use the money widening the bridge. They're going to spend it on free bicycles and teaching people to walk and things like that. But the problem with it is a formal document, the reset, which is why you have to write to the mayor complaining, saying this is not what we want, we have not been consulted on it, blah blah blah. And that's what I was talking about earlier. And what we need to do, what Minnie's going to do with your help, is a list of all the different groups in Southall can actually write a similar letter, the same letter or a similar letter to the GLA and to Ealing Council, saying this is not right, the old plan was good, blah blah, whatever Minnie and will decide. But she's a lawyer, he's a planner, they will get it right for you. And you just need to, all of you, to send off this letter to stop it going through, and that will stop it.
Can I ask about the work? Because I mean, there was work on South Road. It caused massive disruption for more than a year.
Well,
so what was that about? Was that not about widening the bridge then?
No, they haven't widened the bridge. They might have wanted to do. You can actually remove and replace a railway bridge over a weekend, by the way.
So what do? Just widen the road, but not the bridge?
Yeah, that's what they've done, which has made it worse. What you need is a wider bridge.
So they had funding for a wider bridge.
They haven't spent it, and they want to use that funding on walking, cycling, and not mending the pavements and stupid things, and it's not going to get rid of the traffic. So anyway, wait, if I can just leave it there, because I really do need to go. But that's what's going to happen. So please trust Minnie, because she's fighting for you on the legal side. And hopefully, if you can get a list of groups together that can all, like, I don't know, Southall Pensioners Group or so-and-so group, your residents associations, any group you've got, the Scouts, the PTAs from the schools, anything like that, that will be willing to write this letter to the GLA, copy to the councillors. You don't seem very happy about that.
Who, me?
Yeah. You look.
No, I'm not unhappy about it. If Minnie wants to share the letter and get counter signatories, then
no, she wants
more than happy.
Each group to write their own letter based on the letter she's written. That's what she wants people to do.
Yeah, if she shares the template to our email, I can certainly circulate that.
Yeah, and it's like as many groups as you can have. So CAT would be a group, the PTA at the school would be a group. There must be lots of different groups in Southall that could actually send the letter. The Scouts, I don't know, the YAC, the young people from the YAC, all sorts of people can send the letter. And
yeah, I mean, if that's circulated in the public domain. But I think what also needs to be circulated is the I don't know if it's a report, but a document that I have seen. And I went onto the council website to find it, and I couldn't find it.
I've got it. I've got a copy of it. I'll send it to you.
No, I've got it because Peter Mason tweeted it. but subsequent to that, I couldn't find it on the council website. But the point I'm trying to make, Libby, probably a lot of people, the vast majority of people, don't know about the reset program. It's only people who are online and keep abreast of what is being tweeted by Peter Mason and the council who will be aware. So that's the first thing. People need to actually read that document and question it.
It needs to be simplified to be read. Really, it's quite long. So, but it's
23 pages. It's not.
Oh,
that
well,
long.
it's just for some people. I mean, you know, you or I might not find it.
No, but the thing is, you know, people, you know, don't underestimate, you know, people's intelligence.
I think if you put the bullet points, especially
if Millie's going to do that, I mean, if somebody's going to take that on, that's good. And to circulate their letter, people need to understand what it is they're putting their signature to. So thank you, Libby, for sharing that, and thank you for joining us this evening. It's great to have you company. Okay, all the best.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay,
thank you. Joe, are you ready to join us and contribute?
I've actually read the document. We had the document, I think, over a week ago. And I've spent a lot of time reading it and trying to digest it. Basically, what it is, the money was there to widen the bridge. So what they're saying is, we can find better ways of squandering the money. Now, you got to remember, in an organization like a council, you cannot write a check to yourself. You go to prison for that. So what tends to happen is money then has to be wasted. Do you remember many meetings ago, I was telling you that on Park Avenue, when you enter from the Uxbridge Road left, if you're coming down east towards Southall Broadway, they were replacing brand spanking new footpath. And they've done the same in Southall, I think it's Orchard Avenue. And I actually stopped and I spoke to the builders. And we had a jolly good laugh. I said, there's nothing wrong with the paving. Why are you changing it? They said, well, we were told to go and do it, and that's what we're doing. That's how you squander money. Okay. Now, in a business, once you receive a check from a council, from a customer, once you've paid your VAT on the bill and you've also covered your expenditure, it is then up to you how you spend your profit. If you remember many years ago under Tony Blair's government, one of his ministers got caught by the newspapers. He was buying a £700,000-800,000 home in central London, and the newspapers jumped on it. And then a businessman came along and said, no, hang on a minute. He's my friend and I've loaned him the money. Does anybody remember that or not? Well, this is how you squander money. Public funds always get squandered. People speak to me about the National Health Service. It's an excellent service. There is nothing wrong with the National Health Service. The sad thing is, you've got ministers in central government who work for companies that supply services to the National Health Service, and that's how money is squandered. When I was in hospital myself for 3 weeks in Ealing Hospital, they said we must vacate our beds because new ones are coming. So when they came and they bought the new beds, I said to them, hang on a minute, my bed's quite comfortable. There's nothing wrong with it. They said, so we've been told. And that's what we're going to be doing, is just swapping the beds over. That's how you squander the money. Does it make sense?
Yeah, Joe, I agree with you. I worked in the public sector, and I'm not going to say anything more than that because obviously this recording will go into the public domain. But I can tell you quite a few examples of public funding being absolutely wasted. And if it was an individual's own money, they wouldn't have made the decisions that they did.
These people are supposed to be educated with common sense, and it's laughable. Take Southall Broadway, for instance. Now, remember, Angela, I've spent time on that document. They talk about Southall Boulevard, we want to take the pedestrian lights out and we want to do this and we want to do that. That's all garbage. That's how you make money. You see, every single time a dollar or a pound is spent out of Ealing Council, somebody is well looked after. That's how simple it is. And I'll explain. When we look at Southall paving on the Broadway, when the building work was going on for the so-called boulevard, we were actually walking around and looking around and asking ourselves, why have they taken the paving out, put it onto pallets? A lorry came, took them away. Next time we saw the same lorry coming down, it had the same paving stone on it. All they'd done was clean the chewing gum off the paving stone. I got so upset, I took a surveyor there with me. And I walked the length of the Broadway and I asked him, how much money do you think is spent here? He said, Joe, I reckon about 1 point something million. Where's the rest of the money? That's how it's all done. It's all done on documentation. This is a scandal. I
So
remember going to
any improvement to the flow of traffic and pedestrian safety as of months and months of disruption?
It's made it worse. South of Broadway is gridlocked. Forget about South of Broadway. Southall itself is gridlocked. You speak about the Western Road. Yeah. My road gets gridlocked. Beaconsfield Road is the shortcut down. They come down from the Broadway onto Seegers Road, then onto the Beaconsfield Road, and their driving is mental. And if you look at the document itself, all it keeps saying is, we're not widening the Southall Bridge. We want people to use bicycles. Well, I see a con there already, because Let's Go Southall, I wonder how much money they're receiving. So basically, it's the same old, same old.
That's a big con, Joe, because at the end of the day, I believe what will happen, people will get these bikes, use them for a little while and decide, you know, God, I've got the gas bill to pay. You know, we heard on the news that potentially gas bills can be £500 a month next winter. And I think, well, I need some readies. So we'll see many of these bikes will appear on Facebook Marketplace and eBay, because the money is more important to people struggling financially than riding a bike on a pothole road or the risk of being squashed by lorries on my road. Yeah, it's a con and a waste of money from the public sector.
The restart paper is a whitewash. They're trying to make mugs out of us once again.
Yeah.
That's what I personally believe and think. They want to make fools out of us once again. They've already destroyed the infrastructure of Southall.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to fix it with £10 million. It's not going to work.
It's too late.
Too little, too late, because we told them this in 2010 at the meetings of what not to do. But these councillors and the officers in Ealing Council, it's a money pit for them. And they're all living good lives out of it. The councillor yesterday said to me, Mr. Bangu, we don't have the funding. You have £300,000 to pay for the CEO of Ealing Council.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves that kind of money for the services that we are getting. These sort of people should be sacked because they're incompetent.
What the hell were they doing then, Joe, on South Road for more than a year, causing massive disruption, which sometimes spread as far as Hayes, back-to-back traffic from Hayes Road all the way to South Road, bumper to bumper? What were they doing? If, you know, the plan was to widen the bridge, I don't get it. You know, it caused huge disruption. Somebody said, and I can't remember if it was you or somebody else told me, that someone had to pack in their job because they could not get to work in a timely manner because of the disruption on South Road.
You can't plan, can you? You can't plan. It's now, you know, there was a film about Ricky the other day I watched, I think it was last night perhaps, about the chaos on Windmill Lane into Tensor Lane.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous. And then when he actually filmed it. And when he got to the junction over the 3 bridges, there's all these cones and supposedly work going on, but there's no builders.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
joke.
they're doing road, because I had to travel to work that way, and they had temporary traffic lights, and the road was dug up, yeah, massive congestion. And then to make matters worse, there was a fire not that long ago at the cricket club on Southalll Lane, so obviously that added to the congestion. Jan's got her hand up. Can we bring Jan in, and Jan can share her views on what's going on?
Hi. Yeah, it's interesting what you say about this. They want to bring in more people cycling in Southall and everything like that. Do you think it's in a reaction to the ULEZ coming in next August?
It could well be, but you know, I'm not convinced that there'll be a massive take up of cycling in Southall.
No, I don't. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, because it is dangerous. You know, the road I live on is an access road, huge articulated lorries going to the industrial estates around the back of where I live. And likewise, Brent Road is busy, you know, and is access for articulated lorries. I don't want my kids cycling on these roads, you know, even, you know, cycling from here to, say, Southall Park, for me would be a no-no. I just can't see it. And, you know, in relation to walking, they need to sort out the pavements. They're in a terrible condition. And I see it because I walk around with my kids, and I'll take out my phone and take photographs of really badly damaged pavements. And, you know, for an elderly person, if they were to trip over a broken paving slab or trip over a pothole, you know, where some of the pavements are tarmacked, they could face plant, and that's the end of their life because of Ealing Council's neglect. And like I said, you know, a lot of us are struggling financially. You know, they'll get the bikes, use it for a little while, and then flog them on, you know, either eBay or Facebook Marketplace. I'm not convinced that, you know, we'll have hundreds or, you know, I don't know what the projected target is, or thousands of people cycling around Southall.
No, I agree. And I think the problem with the pavements is the amount of cars parking on the pavements. And I think it's getting worse on a weekly basis around here.
Most definitely. And I've seen, I mean, unfortunately, sorry, I'm not techie, but, you know, if you see Peter Mason's video, you don't see any cars on the pavement on Southall Broadway. But I've seen videos and photographs of cars actually physically parked up on the pavements, and there's no parking attendants around enforcing the law. And I think I even saw one photograph, a car was parked up on the central reservation. You know, it's just ridiculous. And I think, yeah, I agree with Joe that they are trying to, you know, con the public. It's too late, right? Because they've allowed the development of all these high rises, yeah, and generally speaking, the young affluent types who moved in, they're not spending their money in Southall. What they're doing, they're getting the train from Southall, they're going up west to Westfield or Oxford Street, and then they return, and you can see them with their high-end shopping bags, and they're walking down that road to the left of South Road that's not open at the moment, on the you know, adjacent to the gasworks site. I mean, I don't know what that road's all about and why it isn't open. The only people I've seen use it are Barclay Group employees, including Jackson Gira, who I saw sort of driving down there once, obviously on his way home. you know, it's a complete and utter joke. You know, they've sold Southall out a long time ago. And, you know, when I look at all these high rises going up, that like a lot on the landscape, they're not affordable. You know, it's not a preferred choice of people to bring up a family in a studio or 1-bedroom flat if they can afford it. It's not providing for the needs of the community. And if the average salary is around about 18,000 a year, there's no way people born and bred in Southall, as a rule of thumb, are going to be able to afford to live here. And even if they could, right, you know, when they want to go to the cinema, they're going to have to go to Hounslow or Feltham. You know, we don't have a sports centre, so they're going to have to probably head to the one at Botwell Green in Hayes. And there'll come a point when people think, the only thing I'm doing in Southall is eating and sleeping. What's the point of being here? You know, it seems very much geared towards people in their 20s, 30s, maybe early 40s, who aren't going to put down long-term roots in Southall. It's just convenient to jump on the Crossrail. What's it called? Is it St Elizabeth or Queen Elizabeth? I can't remember the name of the line. To travel, you know, to their office when they're required to go into the office. You know, the council don't give two hoots about people born and bred here, like my kids. You know, they're already saying, oh, you know, I'm bored. And like I said, I'm sort of lucky in a way that I can take them out of Southall to, you know, do leisure activities. And I had to push the council to refurbish the basketball court on Spencer Street. And excuse my language, because I'm a bit base at times, but it was like a shithole before. The ground was badly broken up, gravel with broken glass, rusty fences and gates. And I thought, this is treating the community with disrespect. And I'm not saying it wasn't used, but it was hardly used. And I met Councillor Anand and the Assistant Director of Leisure Services. I think it was probably July last year. And the first thing they said, oh, they haven't got the money to refurbish it. And I just pushed and pushed and pushed. I thought, this is just so unacceptable to be treating us like we are nothing because we don't have a W5 or W13 postcode. We're not affluent. You know, we don't go to parks that have fancy facilities like the Lammas Park and Walpole Park. We don't have those on our doorstep. And I think, why should we be treated any worse because we are just ordinary? People are struggling in this area. And I tell you what filled my heart with joy today was to return to Southall and see that basketball court packed out with kids of all different ages, playing all sorts of different games, because a lot of them will be living in accommodation where they don't have a back garden. And I took my kids there yesterday, and there were some people, don't like to sort of generalise, but I'm guessing Eastern European. And do you know what? They was mixing and mingling with the kids. The adults had sort of younger children, and they were playing with the older boys who were playing football. And do you know what? Language didn't matter, culture didn't matter, religion didn't matter. It was a level playing field for everybody. And even though I'm old, you know, there was a kid, I don't know, in maybe primary school or in the early stages of high school, and he was kicking the ball to me. And that was such a lovely thing to see. But why should we have to like literally beg, you know, for these facilities? And what I've said is that Let's Go Southall should come to the basketball court and put on some activities for the young people. And it's not just young people, it was cross-generational. You know, I was there as a parent, there was other parents there playing with the kids. But we are treated basically like second-class citizens, like our lives don't matter. And I used to vote Labour because I thought Labour was the party of the working class. And from what I can see, they do not care or have any regard for working class people. And I know I won't be voting, even though I don't want another Conservative government. I can't bring myself to vote for the MP Virendra Sharma because he's done nothing for us on the issue of the gasworks. In actual fact, I saw a photograph of him and he was at some sort of celebratory event with people from Berkeley Group. And I just thought, you clearly don't have any regard for our experiences. So I would rather spoil my ballot paper than ever vote for a Labour candidate for Parliament. And it's not an easy thing to say, but the way that they behave locally, they are for themselves only. And they have run this area down with, you know, complete disrespect for a community that is struggling to get by. But I'm aware that I'm rambling, but does anybody else want to come in and share views or questions or whatever it is you want to say? No, everybody on silent?
And Angela, I like to say congratulations about the basketball,
Thank you.
because I have passed that Spencer Street, isn't it?
That's
I have
correct.
passed it. I have passed it on a number of occasions, and it looked very bad, very rough. There's a bridge just behind. If you look, there's like a walkway that goes underneath the railway line.
That's
And
closed
then
off now, Saki. You can't go that way to,
when
was it
we were
White
small,
Street or wherever?
when we were small, we used to go underneath that bridge and then turn right. And that is the road that you were talking where you saw Jackson.
That's
That's
right.
called
Yeah.
the street. That's called the street. Now, when I spoke to Jackson Gira about the street, this is the advice that he gave me. He said, we are not going to open this straight towards Pump Lane for a number of years. And I said, why was that? He said, because all people are going to do is go down that road and dump stuff. So that road is not going to be opened. The myth that was given to people was that the bus service would start from Southall going into Hayes through the street, and the street ends at Pump Lane at the moment. You know, when you get off
Yeah.
the 312 at Pump Lane in Hayes,
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
and
Yeah.
that's where the entrance and exit point is. So once again, we've been let down, we've been lied to, and this is the way Southall works. Now, all the politicians that we spoke to on Tuesday evening, especially the young ones, that are the new ones that are coming, I don't think anybody's going to be listening to them anytime soon. Do you remember the highly educated one, PhD, Jazz Kiran?
Oh,
She threw in
yes,
the
yeah.
she threw in the towel because there is a body which I always say is the elders who've been in the Labour Party, who've been councillors for a number of years, some of them maybe even centuries. They control the Labour Party, yeah, and I don't think that they're going to achieve anything personally. And now what's more painful is that they've actually found a way of hiding themselves away from the residents. So how on earth is democracy working in the United Kingdom? It's shambles. It's a shame, because this is not democracy. If we cannot question our representatives, then we've lost our democracy. Take, for instance, the meeting that Mr. Sharma arranged, telling us another white lie that is his meeting. when we went to the meeting, there were other people sitting on the panel. I don't want to speak to Heathrow Airports Authority. Yeah. Police inspector. We want to speak to Mr. Sharma. We want to question him. He's the one who's receiving the big bucks. He's the one doing the side deals. Yeah. He's the one going to the religious organizations, begging them for their vote. And why on earth is Mark Church Avenue getting involved in politics? Why is he holding meetings in his hall?
You're right. You're right, Joe. I think that meeting should have been held somewhere like Southall Manor House that they are now showing off about,
Yep.
or the Town Hall, or the Dominion Centre.
100%. Or the Yak,
Or the Yak. Yeah.
because they've infiltrated the religious organizations in Southall. We have spoken to people who've clearly told us, and these are the new arrivals, and they've said that our priest told us to vote Labour. Our religious organizations, I thought they were charities, and if they're charities, they should not be getting involved in politics, or am I wrong?
I personally think that, it's better to hold any kind of meeting with the MP in a secular organisation, not anywhere that is religious. And I have to say, you and I attended the hustings for the general election, and I think it's back in 2019, correct me if I'm wrong. And
Featherstone School.
the way, yeah, Featherstone School, that's the one. And the way that Mark Paulson chaired the hustings indicated bias, because you had certain, I'm not going to name names, one was a councillor, the other were community activists.
Yep.
And, everybody was told you're allowed to ask one question. They didn't ask a question. They went on a long monologue with no question attached. Joe Bloggs in the audience was shut down really quickly.
Of course.
And, I vowed after that never to return to a hustings. It makes me feel, really, that Mark, as representative of the Church of England, is part of the establishment. That it's all about
100%.
keeping people in their place, keeping them down, keeping them oppressed. And, what I really hope for is my kids' generation will challenge robustly what is happening, and they will see it for themselves, that it's an injustice, that ultimately it's about maintaining the status quo in society, that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
And the churches are getting richer.
Oh yeah. Church of England is one of the richest landowners, not far behind the Queen.
Angela,
we still have poverty.
What you guys just said, Angela, about the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, that's a situation where revolutions start. There comes a point where it's going to boil over. I can assure you
can
that.
only take so much.
Yeah.
Human beings can only take so much.
Yeah.
You push.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got a point there, because all these public protection services, and I'm not going to take away from people who are affected by antisocial behaviour and drug taking and drug dealing. I mean, I know a bit about the drug dealing because I lived in a flat, and one of the other tenants was an alleged drug dealer, and the intercom used to go all times of the night with his customers turning up. So, you know, I do absolutely have understanding. But it seems to me that the council are creating conditions where people are going to be antisocial because they're not providing the community infrastructure, right? If you take, for instance, the gasworks site, they've got over 300 social housing flats, not one community centre, not one community facility on site. And Joe, do you remember we met a police officer and he was training his young cousins in martial arts? Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Were you there, Sagir? Yeah. And it's great in the summertime to exercise outside, you know, get some fresh air. Where does this police officer train young people in the winter? And then what happens to those young people? Getting fed up at home, then going out, meeting their mates, roaming around, doing nothing in particular. And the way to deal with it is for the council to slap a public spaces protection order on them. And can you blame the kids when they're bored, witless, because there's nothing for them to do in Southall? So, you know, I don't have any respect for Ealing Council. In actual fact, on Monday, I had my boiler repaired, and the boiler engineer lives in Hayes, and we got talking about how crap Ealing Council are, how greedy and money grabbing. And I'm not saying that Ealing Council are perfect, but they seem to be a whole lot better than Ealing Council. Can I just quickly talk about, and I don't know, I think Joe, you were at the meeting, not sure about you, Jan, the air pollution webinar. Air pollution is a health emergency in Southall. It was a really good meeting. We had Tim present on the air quality data from the 3 sensors around the site. And the upshot is that these sensors are actually for monitoring ambient air pollution produced by vehicles. There is no monitoring of the VOCs from the gasworks site. And 2 of those monitors are actually behind a hedge and a hoarding. And the council receive monthly reports. They only receive 1 monthly report for the monitor nearest Blair Peach School. And surprise, surprise, that monitor on average records the lowest readings. It's all a big stitch up at the end of the day, designed to ensure that the true picture of us being polluted to shit in our homes is not revealed. But, you know, we've had really excellent number of views for the video, some interest from a specialist magazine on environmental matters. And Lorna, who presented on the soil samples, but also the dust samples, because Joe was instrumental in this, collecting dust samples from people's windows. And she was basically saying, based on the shape of the carbon particles and hydrocarbons, it couldn't be ruled out that those particles didn't come from the gasworks site. And I think what's refreshing is Lorna's going to stick with her research, because it was also very interesting to know that some of the readings for was it copper? Was it? Can't remember now. The substance.
It definitely was a metal, Angela. It was a metal.
Yeah, I don't want to sort of misquote, so can't remember off the top of my head. But they were near the threshold. So again, you know, that really is the impetus for further research. And it's no good that Ricardo only tested imported topsoil and said it's all okay and within limits on the site. And Lorna's laid down the gauntlet Ricardo need to test soil samples along the boundary of the canal, compare it with her results, and also compare with results for the topsoil. I mean, I wrote to Peter Mason. I haven't had a response yet. It's an open letter. It's shared in the public domain. It shows really we have lots of concerns, but it's all not okay. So we'll see if we get a response from him. Okay, I'm conscious of the time. Does anybody else want to share anything?
Angela, we mentioned about the community centre. I was walking around down Beacons Road last week, and there's a notice attached to a lamppost. There's actually a consultation. I think they probably have next Friday, 5th or 6th of August. There's actually a Barclay Group and someone else who's developing a community centre. I took a photograph of it. I'll share it with you. You're good at sort of looking up that kind of thing. I've never actually gone online and looked at an application as such, but it did say application for a community centre. I think it might be that maybe the building, you know, where the Crescent is, the Barclay showroom, right? You know,
yeah.
There's a showroom there, isn't there? They knocked where the old park used to be. It could be that. I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't had I've actually totally forgot about it until you mentioned it. But I'll send it to you and I'll have a look on there as well. I'm sure they've got plans on the location where it is. But it is honestly, it said community centre. What was the other thing? Now, you know, I remember that from a bit ago. I think that's the only thing I could remember. There was one other point, but I've forgotten there. Sorry.
Ange?
Yeah, go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, right. Like what Joe said about, is it Bridge Road where Sunrise Radio is? I pick a lady up there every morning for work, and she's in those flats that are where the Sunrise Radio used to be. And the parking there is atrocious. What's happening now is they have put signs up to say if anyone's parked there from a certain time, that they are getting parking tickets. And what's happening is a woman in a car goes there between like 8:30 and a certain time in the evening. And if anybody's parked even on the road, doesn't even have to be on the pavement, they are getting tickets. So the residents in these flats at the moment, they have nowhere to park. So when they come home from work in the evening, they can't park their cars anywhere for the fright of getting a ticket. But you know the community centre that's across the road, is it like a function hall or something across the
banqueting hall now?
Yes, it's a banqueting suite, isn't it?
That's
or something?
It, the banqueting suite. All the people that go there park outside their flats.
Oh, that's just ridiculous, isn't it?
And so today I went to pick her up at about 9 o'clock this morning, and now because they can't park on the road, all they're doing is parking up on the pavements there.
Again, that's a hazard, isn't it? For anybody who's disabled or, you know, a bit immobile, you know, who can get, or has a pushchair, who can get past safely, cars parked up on the pavement.
But it comes back to, again, like what you said earlier on, that they're building all these flats, but no provision for car parking.
True. I mean, as you go, as you go down Merrick Road from the station and you come to the roundabout and actually go down Merrick Road, I've seen it. Joe's been there. We filmed it as well. There's so many cars. There's big trucks, and sometimes I think buses go down because there's a crossing and there's a centre island for pedestrians.
Yeah.
Because the cars are parked there, cars can't go through, going towards Norwood Green, so they have to use the other lane, the ones that's oncoming, and that's hazardous to, pedestrians and, bicycles and oncoming traffic as well. And why isn't the council aware of that?
Because when we went to a council meeting about where was the parking for these flats, blatantly I was told by the councillors, well, people won't have to have cars in those flats because they got the station on their doorstep.
See,
and I turned around and said to them, you're living in Southall. The one thing people like in Southall is a car and a house.
Of course. Listen, these are new developments. You go to places like Hong Kong where space is ridiculous. They have, 10-story deep car parks.
Right.
Why can't they do it? It's just the cost of the, it's just obviously the cost, but they should be doing things like that here. I suppose quite,
Well, what my friend said to me, because she's a council tenant, they were told when they got the flat, but there is no parking for you. The parking is for the people that buy their flats. So the social housing people, they're not entitled to a parking space.
And Jan, it's not the banking people that actually park them. We've seen evidence of people parking up there in really posh cars, and they go straight into that new development. Yeah, so it's not because the banking hall does have a car park. I do agree with you. There is an overflow element, but most of those cars are people who actually live there. They park there.
Jan, what I want to ask you, don't those developments have underground car parking then?
Yeah,
I seem to remember
her building does, yeah. Because as you go around the back of it, there's like gated and they can go in. But my friend told me that she was specifically told when she bought the flat, there was no parking for her.
It's a disgrace, really, because, you've said, okay, she doesn't have a car, but even to get her delivery from the supermarket, I remember you saying in the last meeting that the delivery driver had nowhere to park and aborted his attempt to deliver her shopping.
Yeah, he took it away because he couldn't get through. But I mean, it's funny because I pull up there and wait for her in the morning, and the amount of people that come over to me and tap me on the window and say, you're not the lady that gives the tickets out, are you?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just going to get worse, isn't it? Especially if they build a logistics centre at the site of the honey puff factory, because Merrick Road before those developments was gridlocked at peak times. And do you remember we went to a meeting and there are people who live on what was the Havelock estate, now called Southall Village, and they was complaining, weren't they, that there's only one entry route, exit route, which is Havelock Road, and at peak times that was a real hassle, especially like with the E5 bus, not enough room to pass, people picking up their kids and dropping off their kids at school. It's gonna be, well, it is hell on earth, really, because even Merrick Road gets gridlocked at times in both directions, not just towards the station, but also towards, as you're heading towards, say, Heston. And it's just totally jam-packed. And I'm sure it must also have an impact on the emergency services, especially ambulances, getting to people in a timely way. And as I said, if this logistics centre does go ahead, I think companies that are based there, they'll realise after a time, their deliveries are not exiting in a timely way, neither receiving deliveries, and they'll basically take up an industrial unit on one of the estates, in Feltham or, in the borough of Hillingdon, because Southall is an absolute nightmare. I remember once I came home from work and I thought, I just want to go to Tesco. And the traffic on Western Road, and I kid you not, backed up all the way to, I don't know if they're still there, New Barrack coaches, their coach station, if it still exists, it backed up all the way to there. And I thought, oh, I can't be arsed with this. So I turned around and went home via Featherstone Road and just aborted my shopping trip. And I've done the same on Brent Road. Sometimes it backs up all the way to the junction with Scots Road and nobody's going anywhere. So, I can only see it getting worse. And not all of us are in a position to jump on Crossrail to travel into central London or the airport. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm conscious of the time, it's 9 o'clock. Is there anything else for this month's meeting?
Can I just bring one other subject up very quickly, just to show you how useless our local council is? A neighbour of mine who is not very well at the moment, and he's got enough stress with that. He had received a letter from Ealing Council about 4 weeks ago saying that somebody had complained that he had built an outbuilding in his back garden. Now, he doesn't have anything in his back garden. his back garden is just a back garden. So he was quite stressed about it. So I said to him, look, just ring the planning and tell them they've made a mistake. It's not your address. So he rang them on the Monday morning. He got this letter on a Saturday, rang them on the Monday. It went to a call centre. So the lady said, oh, don't worry. What I'll do is I'll pass on your message. Somebody will ring you back next week. Okay, so he not only had to, theoretically, he was going to have to wait over a week for a response, which was very stressful for him. But she did say, you're better off emailing this email address, explaining to them the problem. So I sat down with him, I devised the email, I took photos of his back garden, and we sent it to this email address. It's been 4 weeks. Not one person has responded to his email or rung him up with a response to this letter that's a joke that he received.
That's totally unacceptable, Jan, isn't
Exactly.
it? And is somebody stressing, worried, thinking
Yeah.
what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
You formally put it in writing with the photograph showing there is no outhouse in his garden.
Yeah.
And not received a response.
No.
Are you going to try
also
Councillor
go to a
Anand to
portal.
see if you can get this sorted for him?
So, sorry, say that again.
Are you going to try Councillor Anand to see
I
if
don't
she
know.
can
I'm
help out?
gonna I'm gonna give it another couple of weeks, see if he gets a response. And if not, yeah, I am going to contact her. But it just shows you that why are the calls going to a call centre? It's not working.
Not responsive. Yeah, I
No.
tried to report something, and I felt like, again, it was a call centre, and I've forgotten what it was now. But the person I spoke to was really, really dense and slow. I couldn't believe that, I was speaking to a council employee, to be quite honest. And yeah, they also had problems with their computer. They couldn't access. I know what it was. I needed to report a missed bin collection. And for some reason, I couldn't do it online. But also the person I spoke to in this call centre had a real difficulty reporting it online for me. It took ages. I felt almost like hanging up on them. It was ridiculous. Anyway, I'm conscious, Joe, you've got your hand up. Do you want to unmute yourself and come back in? And then Sagir?
What I wanted to say was, what people have been complaining about lately. They've been complaining about Ealing Hospital, up to 9-10 hours at A&E, 9 to 10 hours waiting to see a doctor. Southall Park caught fire and people were ringing the fire brigade. And this is what the fire services had to say. We have no engines to send down. Now, we warned Ealing Council in 2010. Clearly, the infrastructure is not there in Southall for the mass movement of people into Southall. Supposing now it wasn't Southall Park and it was Southall Broadway, and the shops were alight, and there were people stuck in those flats who live above the shops. This is how serious the situation is. The Metropolitan Police are saying, we have no officers who can attend unless it's a life and death situation. I mean, come on. I've told the councillors, we've spent time with people. When we were canvassing for our party, we were speaking to the general public, to the residents. And clearly, we're going to be soon, there will be, it's going to be a living hell in Southall. If these councillors continue in the thought process that they clearly have, which is to back big money, that is the developers, then I'm sorry to say, it's not long till we see something so terrible happening. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Sagir?
John, what was it? Miss Griffith's problem was that, with the neighbour, what she needs to go is go onto the council website And well, depending on the area, there's a local officer that's in charge of it. They've got their mobile numbers on there. If you would give them a ring, they'll be able to respond a lot quicker.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll tell him. Yeah.
I'll get in contact with Angela, and she could pass that information. It's been a
Yeah,
few
please,
years
if
since
you
I've been
could,
on it.
because
Yeah, it's like the ward system. We've got councillors. They've got specific people who are sort of heads of that region. So
yeah,
I live in Southall Broadway area, so we've got like West Southall. So Lady Margaret. So there's little areas divided
yeah,
up.
I'm Southall Green, so
Okay, I'm sure there's one there as
yeah,
well.
so
There's
you
different
know,
areas.
I've been
And then-
trying to help him because he has been he's undergoing cancer treatment at the moment, and he's not an elderly gentleman, if you know what I mean, and he's quite stressed about that. So I'll help him. So thank
Oh,
you.
that's good.
Jan,
That's-
is this a different gentleman to the one who fell at home? Because it'd be nice if you share, if there's you managed to get the community nurse to come out and help him.
Oh, a couple of weeks, was it a month when you were talking about that issue?
No,
wasn't
this
it?
is another neighbour.
Okay. How
Yeah.
is the one who had the fall at home?
The 92-year-old, the one who was
Yeah.
born in the same house. Yeah, he's okay. He's still at home. He has carers coming in now. Yeah, he's all right. But
That's good.
like you all say, like Joe said, it's worrying now that, the stories I've heard of people calling ambulances, like a lady I work with, she got run over by a moped on a zebra crossing about 7-8 weeks ago. And she laid on a zebra crossing for 3 hours waiting for the ambulance to come.
Jeez.
Yeah, and she'd broken her leg.
Terrible.
She had broken her leg from the knee down to the ankle, and she laid on the floor for 3 hours.
See, I don't know whether you've been
That's
watching
just
the news.
disheartening to hear.
Mm.
I mean, there's a national shortage. A lot of people I do know who worked as paramedics, ambulance, they're actually leaving it because of the conditions.
Yeah.
Long working hours, the pay hasn't been rising in line with inflation, and they've found jobs as working for doctors' surgeries and things like that, where they've got normal hours and a lot more higher pay. So the NHS, the public, pay for their training, which takes a couple of years, and then because of lack of funding by the Tories, I'd say at the moment, over the last 10 years, they're forced to leave.
And I think it's only going to get worse. I mean, probably like all of you, we don't know where this cost of living crisis is going or where it's going to end. I, for one, when you hear the news, like Ange said about, we could be looking at
£500-600 a month.
Yeah, utility bills are £500 a month. I had a message come through this evening from a neighbour in Brent Road where their catalytic converter was stolen last night, and they have forwarded me the video. 3 men come along, one jacks up the car, one stands by the front door porch with a piece of wood in case anybody comes out. I, for one, if someone was stealing something from my car, I think natural instinct would be to go out there and try and get rid of them. But when you see that they're coming armed now, what do? People, there is just, I don't know. My personal view is, as you all know, I've lived in Southall my entire life, and I don't think there's any coming back from how things are here at the moment. I think they're only going to get worse because we don't have any counsellors. We don't have people that actually care about, apart from us. We care about it, but I don't think you've got the right people on the council that actually care about this area.
Actually, you know what? It isn't. I think Southall is being represented by certain organisation and individual, with the council is relying solely. They're saying they're the voice of Southall when they in fact aren't. And that's really bad, because what the council, when they make their decision, they go to these organisations and say, look, do a little survey, what's the opinion? These organisations then sort of, I don't know whether they do proper surveys. Ask maybe 10 people out of us, you said 70,000 or 35,000 or 20,000, and the council believes them. It's one of those things. Councillors are obviously, being told by someone not to, sort of actually do their job. But there's certain organisations which are not are supposed to be the voice of Southall, and that council is relying too heavily on them. So I don't know what's
I'm
going.
a bit more skeptical. I personally think it's people are lining each other's pockets in this area.
Oh,
you
you
know.
said it. That's definitely what's going on.
Yeah,
Where do you
100,
think
It's like it's not what you
100%.
know, it's who you know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course it
And
is.
I agree with you. Somebody went to award forum. I don't know if you were at this one, but Joe was, and he goes, "Oh, I need £10,000 to do up some derelict land, right? From I think the council, from the Ward Forum budget, or certainly a significant proportion of that £10,000." And somebody piped up from the back. We did up Wall Fields for £5,000. So that told me all I need to know.
Yeah.
That they get more than what they need for their projects, and that money is probably siphoned off into private pockets.
There's a new project now,
And it's not.
Sorry, go on, Angela.
Sorry, Sakia, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
You go ahead. You go. Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say it's not for the benefit of the community, and you're right. The council's just reaching out to a few select organisations. And if you take Let's Go Southall, I'm not saying it's not benefiting the community, but I would say it's not it's not benefiting the broader community. When I look at the photographs of who's involved in it, and you're talking about a project that is drawing down millions from Sport England,
every single
which comes
organisation
from the Department for Culture and Sport, which is a government department.
Yeah.
Our money.
Yeah, there's a new project. I mean, I didn't know about it. It was launched by the Southall River and Canal Trust. The formal launch was at Havelock Estate on this Monday. And what they're doing is they picked 5 sites along the canal, the Paddington section and the other section, Regent's Canal section. So Spikes Bridge, that stretch, Brookside Road, the Wreck, Havelock Estate, and further up towards Norwood Green, where the 3 bridges, so somewhere further. They've got, I think, it says, I'm sure they've got a couple of million from various things, and they're going to put benches and things like that. Let's see what they actually do. It's quite a good website. If you go, there's plans. They were going to do this. We're going to do that. Again, it's just money being taken from from these organisations, and these ones that represent Southall. They get a share of it. Well, bench might be costing them £5, and they'll say it's 500. That goes on. I'm on record, honestly.
Jan, what do you think of this project? Because I know you walk extensively along the canal.
See, the thing is, until I see it, I don't believe it. I think you hear so much of what's going to happen, what's not going to happen in this area, but how much actually comes to fruition? I saw a consultation about what they wanted to do down on the common. They wanted to turn it into like a residential place, where they were going to put like a bank there and benches and everything. Well, that's died a death. I haven't heard that. That was about a year ago that they sent out consultation booklets to the houses around here.
Oh, that's the one I'm talking about. Is that Jan? That's the one. Yeah, you're talking. The common is the park is there, isn't it?
The Wreck.
Yeah, there's something happening there. Yeah, definitely. That's the one of the 5 sites. So
really?
work is going to begin on in the next month or 2.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I'll send Angela the actual website address, and you can forward it on to the appropriate people.
So it's designed to sort of make the canal more accessible for leisure, walking and cycling. And
walking more pleasant for tidy, also encourage wildlife and nature. So
where's all the traffic going to go from that road back onto the Western Road?
Oh, the road's still going to be there. I'm not sure.
No, I thought they were closing it. They were closing it. But the consultation I saw is that they were going to be closing it from like where the old Oak pub is there, that bridge, right down to Leamington Road.
Okay. You know what? I only found out about it last night.
That'd be bad news then. Yeah.
Unless they've changed.
So that means more traffic's going to be routed, say, via Montague Way then, and then
Yeah.
onto Western Road.
Yeah. But
Well,
I
that's
don't
gonna
know.
be
I mean,
helpful.
this is a booklet that I saw about a year ago, because I know one of the ladies that lives down on the common, and she showed it to me and she said, what do you think of it? And I said, it looks nice, but that's going to cost millions. And what for? So what they were going to do is they were going to open the wreck up and close the road and make it like they were going to put like stage seating from the road going down onto the canal towpath. So it was like an open area from the canal to the park. So the road wouldn't exist anymore.
Jeez, sounds good.
It looked fantastic.
Yeah,
It looked fantastic.
Yeah,
know?
you're right. The time frame you're talking about, because when I checked the calendar on the initial consultation did start about a year ago, last
Yeah.
July, I believe. And Let's Go Southall was involved in it as well. They're one of the partners, and is actually.
Yeah. Joe, do you want to join in?
Problem is, everybody who's joined our meeting this evening is obviously living in the real world. But I think our councillors are living in Disney World. So come on, they are creative.
Joe, not Disney World. They're living in Desi land.
They're certainly not living in our area. They're not living in Southall. They're living in Disney or Cuckoo Land.
What it is, Joe, they like the title, they like the prestige, they like the fact they probably get the best seat in a restaurant. They like the fact it opens doors for them. They like the fact that they have influence in, their personal lives. They don't give two hoots. They do not care about ordinary residents. Yeah.
There was a meeting
with the councillors in over the border in Hayes in Townfield ward that they care about residents. I read a tweet. One was walking along the road, and somebody saw them, stopped their car, and jumped out the car and gave them a hug to thank them for something they did for a relative. Can you imagine that happening in Southall?
No, they'll probably thump them. Yeah. They'll come out of the car to thump them.
And
you're not for an ordinary person,
And I'll give you an instance, right? The at the back of me is the International Training Estate. Yeah. I think I discussed this with you, where a new recycling of oil company has just set up. Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah.
I think it's called Aleco. Yeah. 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, there's lorries running their engines over there. So one day I walked over there and I said to the guy, what is it these lorries are doing? And he said, oh, we're pumping the oil from the lorry into a tank within the company. Yeah, so it's like a generator going all the time. So I knocked on a few doors where to these premises. Okay, so I got talking to one lady there who said, yeah, we're woken up every day by this noise. And she said that she contacted Councillor Anand and was told that she needed to do a petition. Okay, so I walked around to the company, got talking to the guys there, and he said, I'm surprised you haven't complained about the bins. And I said, well, what about the bins? And he just laughed at me. So anyway, the last couple of months now, 4 o'clock in the morning, every 2 or 3 days, the Grundon lorry comes along and empties the lorries at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
When he tips the bin into the lorry, he does it in a way that he's actually banging it so the stuff comes out of the bin into the back of the lorry. So this has been going on for a couple of months, right? Monday morning, I got woken up about 4:15 again by this lorry, this bin. So I walked around, definitely a Grundon lorry. And I thought there's no point getting in touch with the council. What they're going to do, they're just going to tell me to log it, moan about it, blah, blah, blah. So I rang Grundon myself, found out the depot, got hold of this guy eventually. And I've done a bit of research on the internet that said that in a residential area, these commercial waste lorries are not allowed to empty before 7:30 in the morning. So the guy
Right.
rang me back and I explained to him what's been going on. And he said, yeah, the lorry came at 4:10 on the 20 something, and it came at 3:30 on this morning and 6 o'clock on the morning. And I said, yeah, I said, and this is every 2 to 3 days. And do you know what he said to me? Oh, I thought the law was that we weren't allowed to collect it before 6 o'clock. So I said to him, well, you've just told me you've been collecting at 4 o'clock in the morning. So why is it, for my cut the long story short, why is it that by me now ringing, I've now got this stopped? Why are we told by Councillor Anand that we have to do a petition? So
Because she couldn't be bothered to take
Absolutely,
action on your
exactly.
behalf and contact Grundon.
yeah,
I'm glad you did, Jan, for the sake of yourself and your fellow neighbours.
yeah, because
Because
people
there's
around here just
nothing
don't know what to do.
Worse than having your sleep disturbed, especially if you've got to go to work, and it's just so debilitating to be sleep deprived.
Yeah, and I think it's because people around here, they don't want to complain because one, they don't know how to, and two, they everybody knows that no one's going to do anything about it. You know, I mean, I don't know how this
Disillusioned
company,
with the fact that, yeah,
I don't know how
with the
this
fact that
company has
the
got a
councillors
permit.
don't do anything. Yeah,
I don't know how this company's got a permit to do this in this area and make this noise about, with, you know, even with unloading the fat from lorries, you know, because I think the attitude.
I wonder if it's the same company, because there was a company down, do you know where the laundrette is, on Sussex Road, and there's a side road. There was a company, and I'm sure they were called Aleco, and they were causing massive problems for local residents, principally the oil, because there was recycling oil, and people finding that their external walls and even their internal walls, if they left their windows open, were being stained with oil, and a terrible smell as well. And I believe that company, they were served with an enforcement notice and eventually moved from that location. That's what I believe. I'm sure it's the same company.
Yeah, well, they've just moved in. They've just moved in at the back of me now.
Yeah, just you have to keep an eye. But good on you for tackling an issue that was making your life and your fellow neighbours' lives miseries. You know, because it's just not on. But it shows really, as you say, the councillors don't want to get involved. They just like the title. They like the status. They like the fact that perhaps they'll get more contracts, because they don't do much at all. And yeah, all of them are a disgrace as far as I'm concerned. And it's a real shame that people don't wake up and think, why am I voting Labour? What are they doing for me, my family, my grandkids, for the community that I'm part of? Because I think if people thought in a way that was sort of more questioning, you know, they wouldn't be voting for these councillors who are just self-serving individuals who are just looking after me, myself and I. But obviously it's not going to change, is it? You know, the independents gave it a good shot. The only thing, you know, that might make some changes is the change in demographics, you know, new people moving into the area. And there isn't that sort of, you know, cultural hold, but it will take time. Okay, again, you know, we've had a really good meeting and it's nearly 9:30. Shall we bring it to a close and look forward to meeting on the last Thursday of August?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for coming to the meeting. And as usual, I will share this as soon as it's available to be downloaded and then uploaded onto YouTube. It will be shared with the councillors, and I'm sure that they do sort of dip into it because they must be curious to know what we are saying about them and Ealing Council. But we have to be a voice for ourselves and the community that we live within. And, you know, long may this forum continue. So good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you,
All right,
Angela.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
All right.
Bye,
Cheers,
Jan.
bye.
Bye,
Good night.
Bye, Mr. Atwell.